You have two paths. You can be the destroyer of this world. Or you can be its savior.
Aldis, I wanted to start with you first. You've now got the honour of being two DC characters, but were there any transferable skills between Green Lantern and Hawkman? Because I feel there's not because of the different mediums. But
no, absolutely not. Two very different mediums. One, with the voice, and the other live action. Live action, which is about 1,000 times harder, and then two very different superheroes. So I have to apply my mindset differently. And Hawkman is a different kind of beast. I mean, from the organic nature of who he is as a person and then as a warrior, but also as a leader, in this space on his mission, trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. So yeah, it was a very different approach, but I gotta tell you, Hawkman was quite a thrill to play and figure out,
Yeah, definitely. And Pierce, this is your first major superhero action, and also you did motion capture for the suit, if I understand, for Dr. Fate. How was that, all the wire work and reacting to stuff that's not there? Did it meet your expectations, or was it?
Well, I grew up in the theatre, so I've done so much black box theatre work, and which, you use your imagination. It's all to do with the imagination, but wearing a mocap suit is a challenge. Can be very humiliating if you allow it to be. But
humiliating on purpose, Brosnan.
I had a wonderful time doing it, playing it, and they acquitted me grandly in the costume.
Yeah. For both of you, this is the first experience of a superhero movie. So, was there anything that particularly surprised you about what you expected going into it?
I mean, I honestly did not know what to expect, but it felt like we were shooting a small indie film.
Yeah, that's true.
How everyone was just so friendly, so connected, so passionate about what they were doing.
It was. I mean, the size, the scale, the scope of it was,
massive.
I think everything I could have expected and more. It was huge. But yeah, I agree with Q. And once we were in there and we met everyone, then we started working together. It felt like an indie. It felt like all those. I'm sure there are an insane amount of pressures that come from the studio and from production companies, to the director and all of the. There's a lot that goes on, especially with a project of this size and magnitude, on an executive level, and I never felt that. I don't think any of the cast ever did. We just got to show up and do our jobs, and in that way, it felt like this really small, beautiful thing.
Ian, every moment took me by surprise. I had no idea. I mean, I'm not sure, I come from, a very strong TV background where you have a simple kitchen set, you have a bedroom set, and that's about all you get. But this just kind of blew my mind on every level, and I had to do wire work for the first time. I cried. I was so scared, but I did it. And it was just, and then you're working with such incredible people. Honestly, I feel like the people that I got to call my castmates, they blew my mind. Between Pierce Brosnan, who came to work every day and felt so grateful and was just in awe of the scale of the sets, to hear 007, he's my 007, to hear him talk about the sets the way he was, and he was just so giving, and the same thing with Dwayne Johnson, just literally the most generous person I have ever met in my life, to everybody. So just every moment of it kind of took me by surprise.
And when it comes to these films, there's always going to be fan expectations based on the characters, what they think the character's going to be like. So leading into this, to prepare for it, did you delve into the comics, or did you kind of want to leave that separate to bring your own spin to it?
I didn't really dive into the comics too much, For me, growing up, I was never really a comic book kid. I couldn't really see myself in any of the, Wonder Woman or Supergirl, whatever. I just couldn't. I couldn't relate. I was a Middle Eastern character living in Texas. I had a unibrow. Nobody could pronounce my name. So it was just an unattainable thing for me. So Jama and I, we just really spoke about the character and how, she was kind of like a mix between Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, or Lara Croft and Indiana Jones, and how she becomes the Black Adam Whisperer halfway through. So I just really wanted to be able to tell, the highest degree of truth in terms of the script and what we were creating.
Usually when it comes to these superhero films, you're going up against someone who is padded out in a suit, but Dwayne Johnson really is that stacked. He's that
Right.
that big. How was that when you were going up against him in fight scenes? Pierce, did you get to battle with stunts wise with Dwayne
No,
or not?
no.
You
It was all computer generated.
exactly.
Of course it was.
So for you,
Yes.
Aldis, was
This
that
man,
just
he
more of
was flying in.
you had the challenge. Pierce had the easy job. You,
I had a cup of tea in the wings.
I'm just sitting there looking at him like, Pierce, tag in, help me out.
It was the first stage filming where Hawkman flies into the apartment with the two guys, and this fight ensues. And Drummer said, where do you want to be? And I said, I'm going to sit in that chair right there and watch the events
He
take
saw
place.
them slingshot me in and out of the room 50 times, just sitting there with his tea, like, this is delightful. Look, the biggest opponent that I had in the room was probably the wires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fighting DJ was easy. You know, we knocked it out, choreography, all that good stuff. The wires, man, that throws your body around like a rag doll, and I'm still recovering, but it's all right. It was worth it.
There you are.
you'll be ready for the sequel.
I'll be
fine.
fine.
You'll be good.
Good. Yeah.
I always wonder when it comes to these kind of films, you know there's going to be fan expectations from the comics based on what they think their characters are going to be. Do you two just sort of have to put it out of your mind a bit or to bring your own spin to it? Or is that always in the forefront of your mind that people have got expectations?
You know you have a responsibility to the fans and the love of the fans for these characters.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a burden. It really wasn't. No, we hit the ground running with great ease, actually, from day one.
And then one of the great securities that I found with this kind of film is that the people who are making it are fans themselves. You know, DJ's been a DC fan for eons, and then, you know, even his whole team over at $7 Productions, Hiram Garcia, who's president of $7, this man knows DC history in and out like nobody's business. I've never met anybody who knows DC like Hiram. So when you think about their leadership together moving forward, because they are fans, they understand what the fans want, they understand how to speak to the fans, you just kind of feel comfortable, you know, with the direction they're going to take it in.
Noah, I don't know if you've seen online, there's been a bit of comparison to Deadpool, despite the fact that Atom Smasher does predate in comics Deadpool.
Just saying.
What did you feel what was your first reaction when you saw the suit? Because you were mocap for obviously the big bits, but you had the suit.
For the smaller bits, it was practical and it looks so cool, man. And
Yeah.
the suit belongs to my uncle in the film as well, so it's more of like a hand-me-down. And I know that the costume designers got a lot of inspiration from like 1980s wrestling, which I thought was pretty cool. I was blown away. I thought it was super sick. And when you put the hood on completely and you're just totally covered, it just looks so badass. Oh my
So
god.
cool.
Was there much of your suit that was practical? Because I'm guessing there was a lot of wire work when it comes to
Oh yeah.
cycling suit, but
It was all practical though.
Yeah.
Like everything stayed on. They would just like cut little holes if I had to be up in like a harness or something. But it was incredible. When I first met Kurt and Bart, I was just like, all right, y'all gonna have to like explain to me what this costume is, because I like too had like a preconceived notion of how they would like want to dress a superhero. But then it just became this more like personal experience and connection to the character, because she like created the costume herself and like would go through like a costume shop to like find all of these elements that made her feel like, oh, this is my best self, and also this is what a superhero should look like in my eyes. And for me, I was like, oh, that's amazing.
When the Justice Society were all fighting around you, was there a little bit of jealousy that you weren't getting more further involved? Or you were like, this is
Oh,
fine,
I
I'm
am
just doing enough.
absolutely
No.
not jealous at all of what they had to do. I mean, first of all, their costumes, like, we shot in Georgia, and it was hotter than hell, so it was like, for me, I was pretty grateful not have to deal with all of that stuff. And then also, it's like, what's happening like around the world today, especially in Iran. I myself am Persian, and it's a privilege to play Adrienne. It's a privilege to play, the common person, a woman who's like fighting for change, who's on the ground, and her only sort of superpower is her heart, and how brave she is.
Yeah, and as you were saying, they built these massive sets for it. Even there's obviously CGI because it's
Yes.
a superhero film, but
Yes.
genuinely they built
Except
massive
for Dwayne
sets.
Johnson.
Yeah,
He
well,
didn't have to have
only-
CGI.
Yeah, he doesn't even need a
truly
padded
has
suit,
electricity
it's just
coming
him.
out of his
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah. So when it came to walking on those sets and not having to imagine most things, did it really feel like you were stepping into a different world. It must help so much.
Ian, I totally thought I was like there. You know, it's like I always, as a kid, I would play make-believe, and honestly, Indiana Jones was one of my favorite movies as a little girl. So I would constantly reenact Indiana Jones from my point of view, you know? And like there was no acting required. Those massive, you know, rocks at the very beginning of the movie, and when they built Kahndaq on the back lot in Georgia, even down to like the, you know, the details of the cups that were in the stores that never even got photographed, you know, so all of that stuff, like there was no acting required. It was amazing.
It's obviously such an action-packed film, but I really enjoyed the quieter moments between the characters. Like, and your two characters get a lot of those throughout the film. Were you allowed a bit of freedom with that, like improvising the connection between the two of you and how you built that up?
It depended on the scenes, I think. Like the med bay was pretty scripted, right? But we got to play within those lines, of course. When we're on the hot cruiser, right? When they're like, wait, or come, or whatever. It's like we got to really just fuck around.
Yeah, I feel like there was so much trust from our director.
Yeah.
To just kind of like bring our own energy into it and like just, you know, do the work. And we came so prepared, so it was like so nice.
And fun.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah.
Just finally, we've heard in the past about when on superhero films, actors take home a little namesake, a little prop to keep at home to remind themselves of who they played. Did either of you take anything from set? I mean, we'll keep it secret.
I wanted to.
The ring. Yeah, I've been wearing this ring. I wanted a ring like this, and Bart and Kurt, who did a magnificent job with the costumes, let me have the ring and the dressing gown.
Yeah, it looked a very good dressing gown, to be fair.
Good-looking dressing gown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, you got the wings just up on your wall.
I want my helmet.
Oh,
And my mace.
that's right.
You know, I also, I've got a ring that I wore in there. And I would say the watch, but I made the watch, so that's different. I also designed the ring, so I guess that's different.
Did you make that watch?
This
Is that
I
one of your
did.
watch?
I did, yeah.
Beautiful.
But it's just a shell. It's a
Right.
non-working prototype, but
Right.
I'm waiting on the helmet, man. We're both waiting on our helmets.
Just ask Pierce, he's got an in. He can get someone to give it to you.
Just you know somebody who knows somebody.
Didn't work for me, man, so I'm still waiting.